How come you took offense when I called you a 7?
Because I'm not a fucking 7. Do I look like a 7?
But why would you care what someone thinks?
I know my worth, and I'm not a 7.
I don't know who is more delusional in this video. The woman who believes that she should have a higher rating than a 7, or the man who seems surprised that she would take offense to this. Dude, come on. Have you met women before? Is this the first time you've realized that they can be sensitive about their appearance? Do you not know that we live in a cultural moment where we're all obligated to pretend like each woman is physical perfection?
What do you rate your looks on a scale of 1 to 10? I'm going to ask everybody.
Like a 7.
Like 6.3.
Why would you not rate you guys a 10? Like, we should be rating ourselves a 10.
Her confusion is actually quite funny because there's like a sense of panic. Like, what are you guys doing? Not rating yourselves a 10? Like, you're breaking the fourth wall. I thought we all agreed that every single woman on this planet was a 10, that we're entitled as our birthright because we're born women to be considered perfection. As delusional as that is, I suppose it could be quite a sweet sentiment if it was applied equally to all genders, you know? Like every man and woman is beautiful in their own way. I can see the merit in that sort of perspective. I don't agree with it, but like I think it's a nice sentiment, but it's not even what this woman is doing. Women are never doing that when they're like, every woman is a 10. It's never like every man and woman is a 10. No, this is a privilege that's only extended to women. Women are considered beautiful, but men, no.
Hey, bro, come here, bro.
Ask it first.
Hey, bro, what will you rate my homegirl right here?
She a 10.
Okay.
She a 10?
Yes, sir.
What will you rate my homeboy?
I'm so sorry, but like a 4.
Oh, that's brutal. But you know what's interesting is that if you press women on this, like you ask them, like, why do you think every woman is beautiful, yet you consider regular average men to be ugly? You point out the double standard. You show them graphs like this one that show on dating apps, a man who is considered average in attractiveness is only going to be swiped right by 1 in 115 girls. You ask them, why do they have this cognitive distortion where they view men as inherently less attractive than women? You will hear a fascinating response from lots of women, which is that they don't believe it's a cognitive distortion. They sincerely believe that women are facially and physically more beautiful than men, more attractive. The human form is better in its female expression. As an objective fact, women are just more aesthetically pleasing than men. Lots of women sincerely believe this, and I think they might be right. Of course, when you do encounter an attractive man, it's almost always because he uses Hanley to give himself fantastic skin. I'm going to talk more about this idea that women are objectively the more attractive gender in a moment. But first, I want to take a moment and tell you why I'm still so grateful that Hanley is sponsoring this channel. It's because these guys did the work to create a skincare product that is specifically designed for men. They know what men need. They know how men think. We don't want to take the time to go to some skincare shop. What a waste of a perfectly good Saturday. But if you live in the United States, Hanley will ship directly to your door. And most men are too lazy to do the research to find out what are the best ingredients for a skincare product. But Hanley's already done all that hard work for us. And as men, we're likely to forget which product we're meant to use, how much we're meant to apply at what time of the day. But they created this incredibly useful instruction card that comes with their starter box. So all you need to do is follow it and then you get great skin. People love this product. Check out these recent reviews. Great stuff. The facial products works wonders. My skin looks and feels healthy. Nice moisturizer, great face wash. The scrub feels amazing too. Really helps your skin breathe. If you haven't got a skincare routine yet, give this stuff a try. And because Hanley is sponsoring today's video, they're giving my audience a great deal. When you click on the link in the description box below and get their starter pack, not only are you going to get it at 30% off, but they're going to throw in a free gift as well. So click that link and get started today. Okay, back to whether or not women as a gender are more attractive than men. Now, I admit that I'm biased. I'm a straight dude. I'll respect some other guys' abs, but I'm not sexually attracted to them. I like women. I like their soft features. I like their curvy body. It's feminine. It's sexy. I'm into it. But that's not a surprise. Me, as a heterosexual male, I'm attracted to women. So naturally, I'm going to appreciate their female form and think that it's more beautiful than the male one. But what's interesting is that there are a lot of straight women who seem to agree with me. I've had numerous conversations with straight women in my personal life where they've told me that even though they're sexually attracted to men, they find the male body a little bit bit awkward, a little bit weird. They think the female body is more attractive. And so if men think women are more attractive, and even straight women seem to think they're more attractive, is there a case to be made that objectively that is true? While I was doing research for this video, I found an article that summarized some research done at an Australian university that I found absolutely fascinating. Let me read from it. From an evolutionary perspective, there's a selection in women to be more beautiful. The study showed that women on the whole are more attractive than men, and not only that, these more attractive women are producing more beautiful women. Attractive parents have been found to have a higher ratio of daughters to sons. For women, beauty was strongly correlated with the number of children they have, but it wasn't for men. One of the predictions is that if you are an attractive woman, you will have more daughters because being more attractive is more beneficial to women than it is to men. And why is that? Well, the research shows that men choose their mates on the basis of beauty, while women pick their partners based on behavior. Women are not primarily choosing their partners based on beauty. They're choosing their mates based on other characteristics, whereas men choose genetic success based on looks. Women often choose men based on behavior that is successful. I found that fascinating, and that's actually the first time that I'd come across this research. This idea that good-looking women are more likely to have daughters than they are sons. Like, I guess makes sense. Like, if you've got this really stunning mother and she's going to have genetics that make her children beautiful, it makes more sense to pour that beauty into daughters than it does to sons. Because with your beautiful daughters, they're going to get selected by the highest quality men because that's what men pay attention to. They pay attention to looks. Whereas if you have really good looking sons, it's not going to have that same impact, that same predictor of success, because women are going to choose their mates based on a variety of factors. Intelligence, status, wealth, all of that stuff. Now, I understand in the modern world, there's a very compelling case to be made that says that women are paying close attention to male looks, but evolution didn't take place in the era of Tinder. Back in caveman days, a man's good looks were considered more of a luxury than a necessity. But men do, and always have done, value the looks of a pretty woman. And that's how evolution works. That's how the sexual selection process unfolds. When men pay really close attention to a woman's appearance, and women notice that men are choosing the prettier women, then they start to pay more attention to their own appearance. And then evolution takes over, and generation after generation, it keeps making improvements, keeps reinforcing that. And so is it conceivably possible that evolution over enough time has made women the more attractive gender because that's what they were judged by? Maybe. I mean, at the very least, it makes sense why women are so sensitive to comments about their appearance, because so much of their self-worth and their perspective on their own success as an individual is going to hinge on based on whether or not they're attractive. So even though a 7 is not really a low rating, it makes sense that this woman is pissed, because criticizing her looks, saying that she's not perfection, is going to hit a really painful spot, because that's what women are judged by. Now, if you tell a woman, you don't look like you could defend yourself in a physical fight, or I don't really see you as a leader, those comments are probably going to sting a little bit, but there's lots of women who'll just shrug it off. She'll say, okay, I don't really care. You tell those things to a man though, and it's going to hurt. You tell him, I don't think you could defend yourself in a fight, or you don't really have many leadership qualities. It's going to sting because it hits our masculinity, because that's what men are judged by, our strength, our leadership. We know that that's what women pay attention to when trying to choose a mate. And so if we're judged to be deficient in those areas, it stings, because it's basically saying your survival prospects, your capacity to pass on your genes is looking a little bit dicey. So it makes sense when criticizing a woman's appearance that she's going to be really offended, because so much of her life prospects depends on it. And that's probably what's behind this cultural pressure to protect women's feelings and pretend like all of them physically are a 10. And I guarantee there's never going to be a corresponding movement pretending like every single man is a perfect 10. But then what about those women who gave themselves a rating lower than a 10? Let's watch that clip again.
What do you rate your looks on a scale of 1 to 10? I'm going to ask everybody.
Like a 7.
Like
6.3.
why would you not rate you guys a 10? Like, we should be rating ourselves a 10.
Now, this part is really interesting. These women have rated themselves as a 7 and a 6.3. Now, listening to that, you might be tempted to think that they understand how you feel as a man. You're thinking, I also don't rate my looks as a 10. I don't think I'm physically perfect, and that makes me a bit insecure. And look, these women are the same as me. They're rating themselves 6s and 7s. I guess we can kind of understand each other here. We're all the same, really. Wrong. A woman 7 is completely different to a man 7. Whether or not you dispute the claim that women are objectively the more attractive gender, you cannot dispute that society places a lot greater emphasis on female appearance than male appearance. Remember this graph? An average guy, not an ugly guy, but a guy who's considered average in appearance, only gets swiped right 1 in 115 people. A man who is a 7 out of 10 is practically invisible to women. Do you think that this woman who rates herself as a 7 is invisible to men? Do you think that there is any comparison between her experience and his? I guarantee her DMs are full, her Tinder inbox is flooded. I bet people compliment her on her appearance every single week. How often do you, as a man, get complimented on your appearance? How many times this week have you been complimented? How many times this year? No, there is no crossover, no equivalency between men and women. A woman 7 is not the same as a man 7. Ladies, you may think that you are ugly, but I'm here to tell you that you are the woman version of ugly. And your experience will never tell you what it's like to be the man version of ugly. I understand that a lot of the attention that you receive about your appearance is just horny guys. But that's what I'm saying, is that men don't have that experience of being hit up by horny women. Men and women are having a completely different experience. You can't relate. Maybe ugly is a word that we should only use for women. Like, there are ugly women, and there's actually a stage below that we should use for men, and we should call it invisible. You can be an ugly woman and you can be an invisible man. So ugly that nobody even notices you. The fact is, women have a prettiness privilege. It's like a bubble that surrounds their feminine experience of the world. They're never going to understand the male experience of ugliness as it becomes invisibility, just in the same way that a man is never really going to understand what it's like to be a woman, to be judged so exclusively based on your appearance, and how frustrating that must be. And to that end, I actually feel really sorry and compassionate for sincerely ugly women. I'm not talking about women who are ugly, but they don't necessarily have to be. If they just lost weight and didn't, shave off their hair. But sincerely ugly women who are just genetically unfortunate looking and there's nothing they can do to improve it. I feel really sorry for those women. It must suck to have so much of your approval from society based on your appearance. And there must be days where you're just desperate for somebody to notice your intelligence, your humor, your accomplishments. And you would just wish that for once, men could be attracted to you for your salary and not for your body. And that sucks. Like, for those women, I feel a lot of compassion. I'm really sorry. Men are never going to be attracted to that. And you've kind of drawn the short straw. And that's why I have a unique compassion for ugly women. And some people will ask, Alexander, I don't understand why you're making this gendered. Isn't it exactly the same for ugly men? Surely you've seen all the internet experiments that show just how much a man can get away with if he's really good looking. No, I don't see it as the same. I have a different context that I place all of the black pill male look stuff in. I don't think I've properly addressed this, and so I answer those questions in the full length version of this video, which is available on my Patreon. What you're seeing here on YouTube, this is just the shortened, abridged version. If you want to see the full length version, come over to my Patreon.